Hey everybody, welcome back to Y-TiSTiCS. I mean, why not? We're glad to have you. Today we have a very informative, I think eye-opening episode for you. If you would welcome Miss Aurora. How you doing, Aurora?
I'm doing good. I'm very excited to be here, Chris. Thank you for having me.
I am very excited to talk about some of the things we're going to talk about today because, again, it really did open my eyes. But before we get started, we got to talk about the almost probably as equally important, if not more important. We need to talk about your furry children. You have a couple dogs at home. Is that that's
Yes, I do. They're very important. They're my furry babies. I keep referring to them, even though the oldest one is almost 9 years old. Like he's gonna be nine
sure?
this upcoming May. But for me, he's my puppy. He's my baby. And he's Sweetie, the famous Sweetie, and the new one who recently just turned 5 months. She's Cora. Her name is Cora, and oh my gosh, she's my little tornado. She's
How is how is
sorry.
the 9-year-old doing with
With the 5 months old.
the baby, right? So you've got the adult, and all of a sudden the baby comes in, this little
Yes,
toddler getting all
yes.
my stuff, is chewing on my
Right.
things, is taking my time.
Yes,
How?
absolutely. So in the beginning, it was kind of funny. He has a very strong personality. I've been with him since he was little, and him and I, we have like this connection. So I learn his cues, and I know when he's hungry, I know when he's sleepy, whatever. So when when we first brought Cora into the house, he was like giving me this look of like, I understand this. When is she going to leave?
Right,
I'm
yeah.
okay
How long
now.
is this
I
going to
share my
be
stuff, but
here? I'm okay right now,
uh-huh.
but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that happened for at least, I don't know, a week or two. And then now they completely love each other. It's a love and hate kind of relationship because Sweetie sometimes he's like,
Mhm.
I want what you have, even though I haven't paid attention to that specific toy for years. Like, I don't care about that thing, but now
Yeah.
because you have it, I want it. So it's so funny. Like, they ton other, and she's so clingy. Like, she wants attention 24/7. And sometimes he's like, don't look at me, not even look at me. But they love each other. Like, it's so funny. I think it was good for him because he was getting, into that phase where they just lazy and they don't want to do anything. And now
Right.
he's more active. Like I see that puppy again, like playing
I
with
got to keep
Cora.
up.
Yes, he has
Yeah.
to.
That's cool that they get along. I love seeing the posts. I definitely seen a couple where the little one there is definitely
Ah, thank you. Yeah, I
chewed on a
enjoy.
couple things that she wasn't supposed to chew on, but
Oh, yes,
that
yes.
happened.
Yes, that happens. She's so funny. She sometimes brings stuff inside of the house that she wasn't supposed to. Like she finds things around the yard and I don't know, like little plastic pipes. Of course, big branches. Like the branches keep getting bigger and bigger. And then the worst thing that she has brought inside of the house is dead birds. I don't like those gifts. Like,
Did you
I
say
don't.
wrenches though? Is that what you said? Wrenches?
Yeah, big branches. Like from the trees and stuff.
Oh,
We had a,
branches,
yeah,
branches. Okay, I got you. All right.
yes, yeah.
I thought you were saying
So,
wrenches, like the tools, and I'm like, why do you have all
ah,
these wrenches in your yard? Where are all these wrenches coming? Branches makes a little more sense.
yeah,
Apparently,
yeah,
branches with
sorry.
the birds still on them, birds included with the
Yes,
branches. Yeah.
yes, yes. Yeah, and right now, like those are the weirdest gifts. She brings all the stuff inside. 5 birds so far, that she has bringing it in. And then she digs out the little snakes also. And those are scary. I don't like snakes, nothing against them, but I'm not a fan of them. So
Yeah, no, I definitely don't want one brought into my house. A snake. Wow, that's. Are
Yeah.
they still alive when she brings them in? Yeah, no, I'm
No.
good with that. You don't have to. You'll kill the birds, but not the snake. What? I love how you call them gifts, because that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what they are to the dog. They are gifts,
They
but it's like,
are.
yeah.
Yes, yeah, they are. And I'm like, thank you, but no thank you. Like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. And she's a digger. And that's the difference between
Okay.
her and Sweetie. Because Sweetie is so calm. He sometimes he sees a squirrel and he's like, oh, a squirrel, not a big deal. But she's a digger, she's a hunter. So it's so funny to see those differences, even though she's just 5 months old, and God knows, what else she's gonna show with these
Yeah.
years. So
Yeah. What's
yeah,
next? She's bringing snakes and birds. What's next? I didn't know that you even had snakes in Oklahoma, so we'll go there next because you are in Oklahoma.
yes, I
Um,
am.
and I didn't know there were snakes there, but I know your husband is originally from California. So
Yes,
how how does he drag you to Oklahoma instead of going back to California? We could live in the
right.
sunshine and the waves, but no, we're gonna go to Tornado Alley, apparently full of snakes, and recently
Yes,
like one of the worst snowstorms we've ever had. How how does
yes.
that happen?
Well, the thing is that when we met, he was already studying here in Oklahoma. He was studying meteorology, which, kind of tells
Okay,
you the main reason why he wanted to be in this state, tornado. And,
sure,
that
yeah.
happens pretty often, except for 2020. In 2020, we thought that we were going to get like more storms and tornadoes and stuff like that. Normally within a year, we have
As
like
well,
two,
everything
two
else was
seasons.
bad in 2020.
Yeah. But I don't know what happened with the weather. And I was okay. I'm not a big fan of tornadoes, but, my husband was kind of disappointed that we didn't have more tornadoes. But yeah,
Sure.
and the commutes. He also says he hates California commutes. So
No, I would imagine, yeah, I can see that. I can see where you wouldn't
yeah,
want to drive in California traffic and
and how
wildfires. I wouldn't
yeah,
want to deal with that either. Sure, sure.
yeah. I don't know about this, because I've never lived in California. I've visited though, but Michael says that it's very expensive also. So
I've heard that as well. Yeah. Hmm.
that's
No, that I'm
another
glad that
reason.
Oklahoma was a good fit. I was just, you're taking me where to Oklahoma of all
Right.
places. Okay, he's originally from California, but you are not. You
No,
speak Spanish, and I know this
I do.
because you are nice enough. You post a lot of your social media in Spanish, and you're nice enough to translate it for those of
I do
us who
that.
cannot speak or read Spanish. So first of all, appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Because
you're very
we
welcome.
definitely like to know what you're saying because you always have something nice to say.
Oh,
Um,
you're so sweet. Thank you.
but where does the Spanish come from? Where are you from originally?
Well, I'm originally from Chihuahua, Mexico. Chihuahua, like
Really?
the dog. Yeah,
I've
like
been
the
there.
dog.
Yes, I've been there. Yes.
Have
Okay.
you really? How come
Yeah,
we
I
never
really
talk
have.
about that
I don't
before?
know. I have. Okay,
Well,
but
so you know where it is, north part of Mexico,
uh-huh.
close to the border. So I've always, been submerged in culture, and the language and everything, for my entire life, raised and born, right there. And it's a really nice place. It's very similar to California when it comes to the weather, mainly desert. South California, though, mainly desert, and we have some mountains and stuff. But it's kind of like California. You have to go up north to go skiing and stuff like that. We also have
Okay.
that in Chihuahua, but where I was from, where I was living my entire life, is mainly desert. So pretty cold at night, super hot during the day.
Now, you mentioned being exposed to like English language. I've traveled a
Yeah.
lot of places, of course, being in the military. And one thing I noticed is every time I go to a country, they always speak English. And I always thought that was kind of
Hmm.
unfair because I'm in your country. Why do you have to speak my language so well? But they do.
Right.
Is that the same way for you guys? Because you're right, it is close to the border.
Hmm.
Is there a lot of
Well,
English speakers?
I was always exposed to the language, but there has to be like the main difference or the main reason for that is because my dad, may he rest in peace, he loved the language. And he would always try to encourage that, between me and my brother. So it'll be like listening to music in English. My mom also loves music in English, but here's the difference. My mom would sing or try to sing, in English, but poor thing. I love you, mom. If she doesn't understand English, and that was the difference between my dad and her. So she will be listening to the music because beat and stuff like that, and
Sure.
be more like pay attention to what they're saying. So I got interested, in those um, topics. It's like the music for the rhythm and everything else, but also for the lyrics. So since I was very young, my parents tried for us to go to schools where they give us English classes. That not always happens. I don't know if currently kids are exposed to the language as soon as we were, because we went to private schools. And
Okay.
I know that in public schools, sometimes they do integrate English, but it's not as, um, I don't know, detailed, and I
Okay.
must say this though, like even though I had English classes all my life, even though like I was in college or junior high or high school, there was always an English class. The fact that I knew a little bit more than everything else was because of that, because of my parents always, like encouraging us. And we would always visit El Paso. Like since I was a little
Hmm.
baby, I remember that we would go to El Paso, and if it wasn't once, a week, we would go to on the weekend to visit over there. It was at least once a month, growing up. So I've always been, exposed to that. Um, in the circle, what I would, be part of growing up, not everyone speaks English. Everyone is excited.
Okay.
When someone comes, from the US, it's like, oh, you speak English. Let's try to speak English or teach you words or stuff like that. My friends and family would always be that kind of people trying to
Uh-huh.
learn, or even nowadays, I speak English, but sometimes I hear a word that I never heard before. My husband always tells me like it's so weird to have that mind process that you don't feel less of a person or dumb, for not knowing this word. Is like it's very interesting that you're trying to learn. But I think it's because of that. I have that encouragement at home and at school. It's like you're not dumb for not knowing, it's normal. You can not
No,
know everything.
most people most people here don't know the English language that well. So the fact, I mean,
I
you're
agree.
already speaking it better than us. So,
I
um,
agree.
you are a Mexican citizen, correct?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right? And you
Yes.
married Michael, and so now you automatically became a U.S. citizen because that's how it works, right? I mean, you just get
Right,
married,
right.
right? That's how it works. Some people think that, and
Super
I can
easy.
understand why. Yeah, you just get married, and now you're an American citizen.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works, and most of us do know that.
Nah. Not even
Um,
kind of close.
not explain to me, and this is why I was excited about talking to you today. And we've kind of
Right.
already talked about this because this process is just amazingly complex.
It is. It is.
So we could really sit here and talk about just the process for 2 hours, but I'm not going to take that kind of time from you. But that said, I'm very interested to have you tell those who come across the video, who come and watch, what you had to go through um, to actually become a U.S. citizen.
Okay. Well, Chris, like you said, it's a very complicated process because it's not going, through the process and fill out some paperwork like some people would automatically, I have a marriage certificate and then it says, you're good, you're an American citizen. It starts with getting married, but it takes years it takes knowledge and it takes money.
Yeah.
So basically, right after we became married, we have to fill up a form, which I don't exactly remember the name of the form, but if you go to the website of Immigration Services, and I think it's also Homeland Security,
Mhm.
you will type in, I just got married, which form I need to fill up to become a lawful resident of this country.
Okay,
And
so
mhm,
just so step one even um is actually getting married. So you like step one, you don't have to become a US citizen to marry one, but just because you're
no,
married to one doesn't make make you one. And I think that's
no,
important because you can be
hmm
married as an American. I can be married to a Mexican citizen,
hmm
but that doesn't afford you the same rights. You can't just come over and be
no,
like, I can be an American now. So you have to go through this
mm-mm.
process. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it started with that, and also it's kind of complicated to even get the marriage license, which is another type of process because he comes from this country, and the documents that they ask, they're pretty simple, but then I have to prove where I was from, why am I what am I doing here, and
Sure.
if that was my intention coming into this country, which was not, I have a visitor's visa, which that's another document that an immigrant can have without the need to live here. And that's another type of document that people don't know about, most of the time.
Okay.
We do. The people who come from other countries who visit constantly, the US, like I said, I had that visa since I was a baby. So it was pretty normal for me. You just present your visa, you cross over. If you want to go some miles up into the map, then you have to ask for a permit. That's another type of process. But when we got
And you
married, I
had
have,
said you have to ask for this permit every time you come over.
mhm,
So being in,
yes,
close to the border, like you said, you come over pretty frequently
hmm
for whatever, but you would
yeah.
have to get this permit every time.
Yeah, every time you have to ask for that permit, if it's granted, because not because you ask for it, they're gonna give it to you.
So
Sometimes
it's
that
hard enough to
happens.
get here, and then you
Yeah.
fill out. Then you guys decide to get married. You get
Yes.
married, and so
Uh-huh.
now we have to fill out paperwork
We
so
have
that
to
you
fill out
can
paperwork.
basically legally live here. How long do you have
Yes.
to fill out that paperwork? How long can you stay here now that you're married to a U.S. citizen? How long are you allowed to stay
hmm
while you do this paperwork?
So
Okay.
legally, not for long. That's your responsibility, because that shows that you have good faith, into doing things legally.
Mhm.
So you do it, the date that we submitted is the next day of our wedding, you could say. After that,
So you
then
had a honeymoon in the immigration office. That's very romantic. Okay, I'm sorry.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So technically, we did, and after that, you just have to wait. It's a long process, not because you fill up the paperwork, they're gonna grant it. That's another thing. You can do everything, right, like we did. We fill up the paperwork, we send it over, we send the money with it. It was a check. I can't remember how much it was, but it wasn't cheap. But they take your picture, they take your fingerprints, and they ran a background check. So making sure that you're, not a cartel
Okay.
member, something like that. And then after that process, then they call you for an interview, and then the officer, who runs the interview, then, according to their own criteria, um, they grant you, the permanent residence, which is not permanent because you're still under probation for 2 years. So let me know if
Okay.
I'm
So
going
this
too
is the
fast.
first
Yeah.
round. This is the first time you hear the word permanent, and
Uh-huh.
we're going to get into this again. so that you can stay here permanently, even though it's not
permanently.
permanently. It's 2 years
Mm-hmm.
at this point. Now,
Mm-hmm.
is this your green card?
Yes, they call it green card, and it's your permanent residency.
Okay,
And
but green card
so,
does not equal U.S. citizenship.
oh no, no, not even kind of close. It's just a way of letting you know that you have a card that says that you can legally live here in the US and stay.
Green card quiz.
Yes.
All right, I have a green card.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can work in this country. True or false? Yes.
No, false.
Okay. I can own a residence in the U.S. True or false?
False.
Okay. Um, I can pay taxes, am actually required to pay taxes in the U.S.
Correct.
But to go back to the first question, I cannot have a job, correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay. But
Yeah,
I can be
so
here permanently.
yeah,
Yes, for 2 years. Okay.
so
All right.
that exactly. So as part of the process, my husband had to prove that he made enough money to be able to support me and him. I don't remember the minimum amount of salaries that he had to make in a year to prove that he could also, take care of me because I wasn't going to be able to work for the amount of time where they were going to deliver it if I could, stay here permanently.
Okay.
So,
What year is this happening, by the way? What year did you guys get married?
2015.
Okay, 2015. That's important because the process keeps on and we change administrations and stuff. Not to
Yes,
get political, but
absolutely.
it does make a difference.
No,
And
it
we'll get to
does.
that.
It does. And they're
So
changing
we've got the green
constantly.
card. You have 2 years to be here.
Yeah.
So it only takes 2 years from the time that you get your green card to become a U.S. citizen. True or false?
No. Okay. So,
Another falsity. You can stay
yeah,
here
no.
permanently, which is only 2 years, but it takes longer than that to become a U.S. citizen. There's a lot of loopholes in this system, I'm finding.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's false. So, this is what happened. I mean, they give you a permanent resident card, but is under probation. And that's why, the expiration date is only 2 years after the expedition date. Because this is gonna sound horrible. I felt terrible when they gave it to me because they say you're under probation for these 2 years where you have to prove that your marriage is legit. So I
Mhm.
understand, why they do it. Probably a lot of couples in the past, they were fake marriages. They got married, and then after they got married, they got a permanent resident card, and then they split up, and, each one goes to their each place. But in
Yeah,
this
because
case,
they were just doing it so you could get your citizenship and leave. And I'm sure
yeah,
that did used to happen, which is why we got these rules now. But this is clearly not
yeah,
what's going on in your case. So you've got your green
no,
card.
mm-hmm,
You get to be here for 2 years, and so in the meantime, so you have to prove your marriage is legit, and
mm-hmm.
you're basically waiting at this point to take the test. Is that correct?
Well, the thing is that after 2 years pass, then you apply a new form to take away the restrictions that you have with that 2 year permanent resident card. And those restrictions were basically you're not under probation anymore. Like you prove that you do love your husband, you do want to remain married. So now we're going to give you a green card for 10 years. But you also have to apply for that. And if you don't, you automatically get kicked out of the country.
Okay. After you prove
Yes.
your love to your husband, they give you a green
Mm-hmm.
card, another green card
You
for
have to
your
apply for
permanent
it.
residence,
Yeah.
but this one lasts how, and this one
10,
lasts how long again?
10 years.
10 years. So
Yes.
first you were here permanently in English equaled 2 years, and
Mm-hmm.
now you're here permanently again,
Mm-hmm.
which as in the English language, the same word has many different definitions. Now permanently means 10 years. We've changed the
Uh-huh.
definition to 10 years. It's
Uh-huh.
still not permanent, but okay.
Yeah, it's still not. So,
You don't apply for it, then adios, to use
yes.
your native language.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
See you. Bye-bye. So, we had to apply for it, I think, 60 days before the expiration date. And then you apply for that, and of course, it's a new form and more money, you know.
Of course. Yes.
And they also, call you again. They do another interview. You know, several questions.
10
Yeah.
years, but you're still not a US citizen. You still
Oh
can't.
no.
Can you get a job yet? You can
Yes.
work now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when you get the second one, the 10-year one, you can
Mhm.
work because we want to make
Mhm.
sure that you pay taxes while you're doing this stuff. Oh, we're back to the 10-year card.
Mhm.
Now you can do all the things that you wanted to do, but you're still not a US citizen.
Yes.
Hundreds, if not thousands of dollars later, and
Yes.
years later, we're
Mhm.
still not there.
Yeah, we're still not there, and
So now we're getting into the new administration at this point, right?
yes.
This last administration, the rules kind of changed.
The
Um,
rules kind of changed, yes. And, I was going to remain a permanent resident for longer. I was constantly communicating to my husband. We have already spent, too much money. I recently started working. I wasn't able to work before, so I was in my first year of working. This had happened, economically we were, well to apply for a citizenship. So it's like, it's okay. I have a window because for the citizenship, you have to be living legally, as they call it, with a permanent, card
okay.
for 5 years. But because I was married to an American citizen, that time reduces to 3 years. So we were already
Okay, so
married
because
for.
you're married to someone, you actually have less time, even though
Uh-huh,
you're married to a U.S. citizens. So if you hadn't been married, you actually
uh-huh,
could have voted out longer. I
yes.
love this. Is amazing. This is why
Make
we
little
needed
note.
to talk about this. Yeah, it's just wow.
Yes.
So the administration changes, and you guys decide we need to probably get this done because things are getting crazy.
Yes, I remember that back then we applied for it because the previous administration said that by August of that year they were going to increase the 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 cost of applying for, a citizenship. And
Okay.
the test was going to be even more difficult, to pass, which is another part of it. In this process, you not only apply, you have to pass a test, a very complex
Yeah, let's
test.
talk about this test real quick.
Okay.
You showed me the book. You still have the book
Yes,
with you
I
as
do
a
have
study
it.
guide? You still have that?
This is my
Yeah,
was my
let's take
best
a look
friend.
at the test.
Yes, so it is
You said it was your
divided.
best friend?
It was my best friend
Okay.
because I don't know, for how long I was, rereading it, and I know it was a long process of just like going through it over and over again until it actually, sink in. And you also get really nervous. So it's like, am I
I
going to
imagine,
remember
yeah.
this? So
Tell me
anyway,
about this test. This isn't
this.
just a sit down, fill in the bubbles test. Tell me how
Oh
this
no,
testing
not at all.
process works.
Okay, this testing process, it divides into two processes, to say it that well. So, in the first one is your civics test, which this little guy right here comes along. So you study first about the principles of American democracy, which is how the Constitution came to be,
Pay
the
attention,
13
folks.
original colonies. Yeah.
The 13 original colonies. I love this part. Look,
Yeah,
first of all, if you actually know the 13 original colonies, go
I
ahead and
do.
hit the like button. If you're like me and could probably could pass 11 to 13, hit the subscribe. Um,
Right. Yeah.
but all right, so you have to know the 13 original colonies. Most Americans do not know
Yes.
the 13 original colonies, but you do, and you're
Yes.
required to.
Yeah, I do.
What else do we have to?
Yes.
Don't worry, everyone, it's not over yet. Stick around and download part 2 or come back later. Head over to YouTube to see clips of this interview and others. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. Share with your friends. Let's see how many stories we can get told on Y-TiSTiCS. I mean, why not?